Welcome, welcome, everyone. We are so happy you're here and have decided to join this amazing space this morning or this afternoon or evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I am Jan Jeremias, one of your hosts today, an integrative health and wellness coach and author who works with both people and pets to help them overcome health challenges and live healthier lives. And I'm really excited to be joined on stage once again with my co-host, collaborator, and dear friend, the very kind and very funny Mary Jane McQueen. Mary Jane?
Thank you, Jan. And no pressure to be funny now, right?
None whatsoever.
So I know most of you here know, but for purposes of the recording, I am Mary Jane or MJ. And I have my own creative studio named MJ McQueen Creative Studio. And I really help entrepreneurs to step into their light and to share their gifts authentically. It is my greatest privilege and honor to be able to support people on that journey to get their mission and vision out into the world in a way that feels authentic to them. And of course, I'm always honored to be sharing space with Jan, um, the the funny and humorous Jan. I love her perspectives, and also the fact that she always continues to shine brightly in ways that, and even when things may not be going the way we may necessarily be anticipating. So thank you for that, and thank you all for being here with us today. And I guess, Jan, I will begin with the poem.
Perfect.
So the poem today, aptly named "The Magic Within," and it's by Het, and it says it's a poem that will directly speak to your heart, and I would say that that would be definitely the case in this. So it begins. In the quiet of a morning before the break of dawn lies a magic in the stillness where dreams are gently drawn. The world is hushed, awaiting the sun's first tender kiss. In that fleeting, silent moment, there's a hidden bliss. The dew upon the petals, sparkling like tiny gems, the whisper of the morning breeze rustling through the stems, a symphony of nature in the early light, a dance of pure perfection wrapped in soft twilight. Children's laughter echoes in a park so green and wide, a reminder of pure joy that time cannot divide. Their innocence a treasure, and their eyes a spark, a beacon of pure wonder, illuminating the dark. In the touch of loved ones, in gentle warm embrace, in the wisdom shared by elders that time cannot erase, in the kindness of a stranger, in a simple, selfless deed, lies the true, profound connection we all silently need. For in these simple moments, so easily overlooked, lies the essence of our being, where life's true magic's hooked. So pause to breathe the magic, let it fill your soul, for in these simple wonders lies the key to feeling whole. In the quiet of our days, where time seems to stand still, lies the secret to our joy in moments we fulfill. So pause and feel the wonder, let it fill your heart, for in these precious moments is where the magic starts.
For in these precious moments is where the magic starts. Mm, So beautiful. So we welcome you, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We welcome you with open hearts, gentle presence, and a deep gratitude for your being here. Whether you arrived today feeling hopeful, uncertain, tender, or strong, Please know that you are seen and held in this space. You belong here. We gather today not to fix or change ourselves, but to remember, to reconnect with the quiet, steady magic that already lives within each of us. There is a magic in the universe, a force that flows through stardust, ocean tides, blooming flowers, migrating birds, and morning light. And here's the miracle. You are made of that same magic. You are comprised of the same elements as the stars above and the earth beneath your feet. That magic might show up as your intuition, your empathy, your resilience, your creativity, your capacity to love and be loved. It's in your breath, your dreams, your joy, and even in your pain. The magic is not something you have to earn. It's already yours. It may have been hidden, quieted, or forgotten, but it has never left you. So today we invite you to pause, to soften, to feel your way back into that truth that you carry wonder and wisdom simply by being. Together we will tend to that inner spark. We'll remember that we are part of something vast and sacred, and that this vastness lives within us too. Welcome. We're so honored you're here. Mary Jane, and welcome. In the meantime, let's just welcome Prudence and Matthew and Divine. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Um, I'm not quite sure what time it is where you are in Uganda, Prudence, but afternoon, evening, I'm assuming. So welcome, welcome. Mary Jane?
Yeah, yes, it was just funny because I was just in the midst of typing welcome and then it was like, oh, Jan's doing it too. Um, yeah, it's what a powerful subject to really think about yourself. I mean, sometimes we have a tendency to overlook that part of ourselves. We always think that there's not that there isn't, but there's we have to be learning and striving and doing all of these things. And sometimes when we take a pause and take a look and realize that we really already have the magic within. And what a powerful, powerful image that creates for me. And I know from conversations that I've had with Divine, and when we were talking about how my, my birth stuff and it's related to me, about how much magic there is in the ways that the stars and things were aligned on the date and time of my birth. So I really loved our conversation that we had about that, and it was an interesting thing because that was definitely a time where I suddenly realized, magic within. I never really thought about it that way. So I love that we're having this conversation today. So
Absolutely. Seamus?
Yeah, thanks for a lovely topic as well, lovely poem. And again, Jan had sent me an article and it's the only word probably that hasn't been mentioned so far, like amongst wonder and magic and simplicity. And it's that word called awe. And we sometimes and it's a beautiful article. Maybe you can share, Jan, to the group as well here, because it reminds us, I suppose, of the simplicity. And that's what was coming up for me as we listened to the poem, as I listened to the initial comments here is around the absolute power of awe for this very simplest of things, that came up through the poem, this very simplicity, but the depth of creating space to be in awe of the beauty of the very simple things of nature, connection to, the grass and the words and the images that arise through the poem, and just to be in awe of that is a beautiful experience. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to share. Like it's so simple, and it's always available, and we don't like when we think of awe, we think of the extraordinary, but I was really thinking awe in terms of the simplicity of everything that's so available to us that we kind of miss out on, I guess.
Beautiful, Seamus, absolutely. And I think I love that feeling of finding the ordinary and the extraordinary. Um, the finding the awe in everyday things. And being able to look at it like that is really is looking at the world through what I would call a child's lens. Like if you've ever spent any time, which I'm sure I think everybody has here, around small children, they have this ability where they look at everything with such wonder. And it could be the simplest thing. It could be like looking at the way a box folds, you know, or being more interested in the box the toy came in versus the toy itself, or the way they look at leaves or trees or even rocks. They just have this ability. It's like this pure, expressive curiosity and willingness to see the extraordinary in the simplest of things. And I think I've spoken before. I remember years ago, I think my nephew was about 10, and I took him on his first airplane ride. So I took him, he flew with me. And it was fantastic. I mean, the things he asked me and the things he looked at were, I mean, were things I had flown, I don't know how many times by then. There was this ability to look at everything with such curiosity and wonder and newness that it really did feel magical. Like it felt miraculous. And I think as adults, we tend to forget that. Also, we do so much and we're not conscious that we're doing it. So we don't kind of appreciate the fact that it is so miraculous, the little things. Mary Jane, did you want to share anything before we open it up to Zara?
Yeah, I was just you reminded me because the last weekend and the last several days I spent time with my niece and my great nieces and nephews, and the youngest one, she's 7, so she has that wonderment and awe for everything, and which is amazing because she's very sweet and the way she looks at it, and it's a really amazing reminder of taking a look at the value and the essence of the everyday things. And their yard, a bunny has decided to take up residence in their back garden, and she was like sat there, but she's like we were out on the deck, and she's like, we have to be really quiet because we can't disturb his yard. And I loved how her perspective was is that this was his space and we needed to respect that. And so, um, but it was just amusing. And then I started thinking, I was like, well, sometimes we really need, we would really appreciate people respecting our yard when they're giving us our space when we need our space. So yes, I love the children's perspective and reflecting on from the inner child, reminding ourselves what it was like to be a child and looking through eyes of wonderment. So
And yeah, before we move to Zara, I think it's, in Zen Buddhism, they call it the beginner's mind, is
ah,
looking at as if you're doing something for the first time. And in yoga, we refer to the same thing. It's like when you get on your mat, it's as if you're practicing for the first time. Um, Trying to keep that kind of sense, I think, of awe
mm,
and the quality of like it being a miracle. The fact that, let's say, you can move your body in a specific way and it creates that newness, and it also makes it not only refreshing and like it doesn't get boring because you're not like, okay, I'm doing this same pose or I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. it creates this idea that each day is totally a new day. And so, Zara.
Yeah, thank you, Jan and Mary Jane. So when you started talking about the children's perspective, I was kind of went somewhere down memory lane, going back to when I was thinking about sending my son to a Catholic school, but I wanted him to be exposed to different ways of thinking and having the ability to ask questions rather than being told what to think. And this head welcomed it. She said, we have people from different religions. And she said, one of the things I find is children from other religions who come to the church, who are exposed to our belief systems, tend to ask some of the best questions. So I thought, right, this is the best place for him. Needless did I know that that head went, and then we had we had a temporary head who had a very different way of doing things. So that's another story for another day. But anyways, I'm kind of glad it happened because my son came back at the age of 4.5 and it was bedtime. We were doing story time as we used to do every single night. My husband and I would sit next to him, we do bath, bed, story time, that sort of thing. And so there was a routine. And I remember he just sat at the edge of his bed and he said, "In the name of the moon." And I thought, what's he talking about? And I said, "Alex, why are you saying moon?" He goes, "Well, it's nighttime now." So when you say in the name of the sun and whatever. So because he thought the sun was SUN rather than SON, but that's another subject I'm covering later as to what is our definition of sun. And yeah, let's ask those right questions rather than assuming things. So yeah, children's magic sometimes brings to light how we often start saying something without even knowing the meaning of it. So thank you for allowing me to share.
That's such a sweet perspective. Thank you for making me grin from ear to ear because as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, sun and moon, I hear it. But I love that. And I'm of the same belief of exposing children to multiple things and letting them make the decision or have them allowing them the space to make the decision themselves. So um yeah, because it's true. Sometimes the questions that children ask really make us reflect on ourselves. It was interesting when Jan and I were preparing for today, gathering some information and things, and it's like I just I really like there was a phrase in one of the articles we were reading, and it just says life is not magical. It's you who is the magic that makes everything better. And I thought that was a really poignant reflection because sometimes, well, a lot of times we tend to push that aside and we get so busy in the doing that we forget about the being and just leaning into the magic that really is ours because it's been ours all along.
Hmm. And I loved that quote too. I highlighted it in my notes. But I also think that just when I read that, it just reminded me so much of the magic that we all bring to, let's say, these conversations. And it's really all of us being here that makes it magical. It's our contribution, our perspectives, that's kind of like the color that is brought to the conversation, the color that's brought to, make something more colorful. And, it's the magic that we each bring. So the situation isn't necessarily magical. It's how we see it and what we bring to it that infuses it with that magic. And so, yes, divine, we are stardust, the moon, and the sun. And there is a great, great TED Talk by Tom Chi, which I've shared around a number of times, called "We Are All Connected," where he actually talks about kind of like the sciencey part of that. But it's really a fantastic TED Talk. It's probably one of my favorites, and just goes on, that literally the same elements that are in this cosmos are within us. And so literally we are made of stardust. but that magic that we all bring to each one of these conversations and to each interaction we have and to our lives. I mean, you can look at a tree and just see that tree, or you can look at that tree and recognize that, it was a seed, it was a seed. It was like, it contains the earth and water and air and you can look at it for the miracle that it is. And you can see it that way, or you can choose to see it that way, I think. Matthew, welcome. It's been a while. Can you unmute Matthew? Maybe he's having problems. Okay. Well, in the meantime, till he's able to, Mary Jane.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, and that's the magic of Zoom, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And tech. But yes, so yeah, Matthew, feel free to join the conversation if you are able to unmute, or perhaps it's not a good time, but that's fine. But yeah, I love the perspective of just, how you were just talking, Jan, about the seed and things. That was one of the reasons why when a little while, a few months after my mom had passed away, we were deciding really wanted to do something to for people to remember her magic, and so yeah, eventually what we did was there's a park near us where you can plant trees, and they'll put up a little plaque for her. And I just the growing part really thought the magic of the growth, because when they planted the tree, it was such a tiny little sapling. I thought, oh dear, is this thing going to survive? But the magic of nature, and the beauty of nature is watching it grow. And now, um, 12 years later, I am now able to stand underneath of its branches. And I thought, what a blessing and what magic. It's like here's a remembrance to my mom, and here she is providing shade for those that are walking in the park. So I loved how you brought that, because it just suddenly brought my mom's tree back to my memory. So, but I love to go and walk in that park anyhow. But I always stop and speak to my mom there, even though she isn't physically there. I feel she's round with me when I'm there under the tree.
Absolutely. So beautiful, that story, and so beautiful to have that experience. And I think that, yeah, and I have a poem that I can share in a little while, which kind of describes this aspect. But maybe we'll hear from, I'm not sure if Zara wanted to share
I,
something, but Divine, if she does,
I
she can come.
I
Oh,
think Matthew,
Matthew.
I'm muted now. So are you there, Matthew?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, now we can hear
Again.
you. Yay.
Yeah, I don't know what I clicked something around gallery display, and yeah, you'd think somebody that ran a software company for 20 years would know better. But anyway, I was with a friend of mine having a conversation in their living room in Mallow. Like, Seamus would know what that is, but probably nobody else. And his young kid that was around 4 or 5 was standing in between us, just absorbing everything we were saying. And I was trying to explain that I knew somebody else living in the town, and I pointed towards the wall, which is where I thought the kind of direction of this guy's house was. And the kid turned around and said, "He lives in the wall." And I just thought that was funny. That just came to mind.
Yes, that is funny, Matthew, because kids can be so literal. It's like, to them, it's like you point to something and they think you mean that exact thing. And those stories are just like, precious. And the way they think is miraculous and is that kind of magic. It's like when my sister-in-law's father passed away. So we're cleaning out the house and my niece is there. She must have been about 5 years old. So it was her grandfather and we're cleaning out the house from all his clothes. And she turned to us and said, well, what are you doing with Grandpa's clothes? Like, won't he need to wear them in heaven? And it was just like, we looked at her, and to her, it was like, shouldn't we just send them to where he is now? And it was so sweet. It was like these things that we don't necessarily think about, but yet the way they think about them is somewhat magical and is somewhat very practical and logical. Um, you know, it's it's so interesting. And I loved the bunny story that Mary Jane shared because it was kind of like almost like he immediately knew that the bunny was like belonged outdoors and that was his space or her space, the bunny. But like it's almost like we're intruding on their space. It's really they belong out there. That's really there where they live. And we live in the house and we should give the bunny their allotted, you know, where they live. So I love that. Divine, did you wanna
Yes, I had to come back to my microphone. Hello, my loves. Hello, 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 everybody. So good to be here on this beautiful Friday, which is also connected to Venus Day. Venus Day, right? We're talking about magic, and I'm going to, talk about all the magic of the rituals that have been placed upon us here in this earth. Especially when it comes to the days of the weeks, there's Monday is actually Moon Day, guys, right? And I love when we talk about the moon. And thank you, Mary Jan, as well, sister, for mentioning me about, the cosmic blueprint. I like to call it astrology being the cosmic blueprint that we all have. And many, many, I want to say centuries ago, they used to teach astrology in schools. And they now focus more on astronomy than astrology. But astrology has been around, you know, many, many centuries ago. Our ancestors used to look to the stars for information. Even in the story of Jesus, the three wise men had to follow the star to find his birth. So there's so many uh, practical books. I mean, we can go as far as back as ancient Egypt. There's so many esoteric tools, divination tools that a lot of I'm gonna say skeptic energy has been put upon them, or because maybe, some backlash or some quote unquote evil intentions that has been done, and a lot of us are unaware of our magic is all about intention. The universe, God loves us unconditionally. So there is no duality in this is right and this is wrong. It's all about intention. It's all about what's the word? I'm facing a little cold right now. I got a cough, so I'm trying to be slow on my speaking. But when it comes to the magic that we have within ourselves, this is neutral. Okay. This is neutral. This is not about good and bad. Your intentions will also be mirrored back to you. That's the important thing. This is why we say you want to be in love, you want to be in kindness, you want to hold peace, right? But you also want to stand up for yourself, and you also want to understand that you have the power, which is also connected to magic, right? You have the power to choose what energy, what intentions you want to play in. Again, we're in unconditional love, right? So there is no duality of this and that, right and wrong. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't say that. Look at the world. The world is showing us that there's many different choices and intentions that people play out. Even in supposedly negative protons, which we all have. The earth has a lot of negative protons, okay? Right? This is why you're able to go ground yourself out there, and she's able to transmute that energy into her, you know, we have all these weather events. I'm in hurricane season right now in Texas, and hurricane season, everybody's in fear. Everybody's in panic instead of being in preparation and understanding that they have the alchemy and they have the magic to prepare, to create something. See, magic is all about creativity. And this is what the universe is connected to, right? And we are the universe. We are the protons and neutrons, the electrons, the stardust, the moon, the sun. In astrology, this is your rising sign. Your rising sign is connected to your soul. It's your higher self, your conscious self that knows your cosmic blueprint and how you're supposed to be in the leadership in your rising sign. And your moon sign is connected to the matriarch and your emotions, right? And then we have the sun sign. The sun sign is connected to your soul's blueprint as well and how you shine and radiate your energy. So absolutely, we are the magic. And one more thing I will say is that when I was a little girl, I had to hide my magic. I had to do it in secret. But I'm a Scorpio. So that makes sense, right? I do things in secret, but secret doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It means it's sacred. Everybody doesn't need to know your magic that you're doing unless you choose to share certain things. Everything should not be shared. There should be some sacredness to your magic, to your alchemy, to your process, your alchemical process to heal ourselves. The body has magic and energy. When I was a little girl, I used to love going to the parks as well. I still take my children to the parks. I love going to the parks and being around the trees and the fairies. We have fairies too. You know those little wishies? I forget what they're called, but we used to blow on them when we used to make a wish, right? We have fairies and we have butterflies are connected to fairies. We have so many things in nature and beings in nature that are connected to the magic. Now, I don't want to get too quote unquote woo woo here for those of you that know me, but just know that I have done mediumship. I know my father is still here too, as well, Jan. He's here all the time, and I hear the steps creaking. I can see sparks of light. I see energies, entities. I can connect with passed on loved ones through other people. But it's very important to be intentional about the spirits that you're connecting to. Are you connecting more to the light or you connecting more to the dark? And dark doesn't always mean evil as well. So again, I'll land it there, loves. I think I've been talking too long. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Divine. A beautiful share. And to me, it's like this manifestation, the magnification of our, the word for magic is like not in a sort of, let's say, negative, but our power. And so it's the manifestation and magnifying of our personal power, is that magic. Al, did you want to share something?
Yeah, sacred magic, the theme of this week. So the magic have two. There's an acronym and a backronym. So this is the first time I heard of backronym. So anyway, acronym is meaningful. It stands for M. A will be autonomy. G will be growth. I will be impact. And C is for connection. Then the backronym, which is related, will be the magnitude. So when the magic gets into the magnitude, which is the greatness of it. Then articulations, A for articulation of the magic. How you describe the magic and how the miracles are given to us each day. And G for the generality. And I is for interestingness, When you talk about magic, everybody will be intrigued and it's so interestingness. And C is the credibility. So this is the acronym of the acronym of this week's magic. And when we talk about magic, like when we are small, when we look at the fairy tale movies like this Captain Hook, with all the fairies, how the guy like Robin Williams, can never get old. I mean he was just flying around, and it's so wonderful, And also the latest will be like Harry Potter, When somebody brings out the magic wand and just sprinkle the stardust, and things changes to something else, So every one of us here will always think of the miraculous things that happens in our lives, You can experience and all that, So I'll pass the mic to Divine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Al. So true. I mean, I love the, first of all, thank you again for your magic of the acronyms. Um, each week we love those. And the other thing is that, we each do have the ability to pull out that magic wand, to be able to look at the world like that, no matter our age. It doesn't matter where we are in life or what we are. We have the opportunity and the ability to see the world, basically how we want to see it. And once there was a wonderful story about, trying to remember who was, it was a story about this guy who was in a maximum security prison, on death row. And so after many, many years, they have this, it's a true story. He's has the ability to leave the prison on some sort of day program or something. And he ends up getting on, I don't know if it was the Green Mile, I don't think so. Um, but he gets on a bus and he's riding on this bus for the first time. He's not in the prison walls, and he actually gets to, and it's like, let's see, 20 years after he's been incarcerated, so it's many, many years to see the world beyond cement and barbed wire, and then just to be able to ride, and the way it's described, or he describes that experience of being able to look at something and, you know, and to see that the beauty and the sort of the intrigue and the curiosity and the newness and how the change that he was now witnessing after so many years. It's just such a beautiful, it was such a beautiful description. And I think we have the ability to wake up each day and look at our surroundings and think of them as the same as yesterday. And then we have the ability to wake up each day and look at, the miracle that it is. And divine?
That was so beautiful, Jan.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The miracle, right? Just the breath alone, right? I've been really focusing on my breathing lately, and I think that's the closest way that we can get connected to spirit, right? And when I focus on my breathing, I feel more empowered because I remembered you mentioned our inner power, right? And we all have this inner power from within that maybe has been distorted, tainted, you know, programmed to think otherwise, that we are not powerful, and I think this is why they took away astrology. They took away a lot of things, but now we are starting to see whether it's new age and whatever you want to call it, new age, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, people are starting to awaken to their inner power and authority. They're starting to awaken to their magic, I like to call it, their magic from within. And there's no going back from that. And that's all a part of the Aquarius age as well, right? Because Aquarius is the water barrier. Aquarius holds the vessel and the knowing. So this is about knowing through experience, and a lot of people talk about science or metaphysics. Science and metaphysics, blah, 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 my mouth. Science and metaphysics plays its part. It really does. And well, what I will say from experience, because we are in the age of knowing now through experience. So, how can we stand rooted in our power and our experiences and share them with other people? And this may be near death experiences. This may be, your experience with magic, your experience with astrology, metaphysics, whatever it may be. Are you rooted in your experience? Are you able to share that unapologetically? For those of you that don't know Dolores Cannon, I studied her right before I came into my own mediumship abilities, and I started getting more into astrology, numerology, metaphysics, all those things. And I studied her. And a lot of what she was talking about, I didn't start experiencing those things until years later. So I was in preparation mode of learning my inner power, learning my gifts, I like to call it, right? And the experiences that I experienced with, my body, Kundalini meditation, Kundalini awakening in the body, feeling that life force energy, using that to heal myself on so many different levels, seeing spirits and connecting with energies and spirits. I didn't start experiencing those things until years later after I started studying her. So there's no coincidence in what you're drawn to. There's no coincidence on what you're called to. So yeah, I just want to share that off. Thank you.
Thank you, Divine. And I love that. I don't think there are any coincidences of the people that enter your life, that grace you with their presence, that you learn from. Like, there is no accidental meetings, whether they be short-lived, like, for a short period of time or for years and years and years. Um, I think that if you go into each encounter, each interaction as being special and being there to somehow inform something about your world, and that means you included, obviously, that you look at each thing as if it's, oh, do you get curious about it? One of Seamus's famous word or favorite words, from a friend of ours, Dr. Mohiba, whether you get curious about it or whether you look at it as if, what is it? What am I supposed to learn? What's supposed to, what's it supposed to reveal to me? And I like the idea of revealing, because I think that magic, as we spoke about in the beginning, is always there. Our gifts are there. We just have to learn how to let them come to the surface, to let them emerge. However we navigate or we are able to do that, whether that be through creativity or through meditation or through doing some other aspect that we love. For me, it's teaching. When I teach, I have that, and it allows that magic within yourself to be revealed. Darlene.
And isn't it wonderful, a gift when we can be with others and connect with others and see their magic coming back to light? I had that experience just a couple weeks ago in a retreat that I held. And one of the participants was talking about, I do my affirmations every day, but I don't believe them, so they're not working. Well, they're not working because you don't believe them. So let's tease that out a little bit. And together with 5 other beautiful souls, she managed to dig a little deeper and really believe the magic that's inside of her. And she works with, she's an EA, an educational assistant in the school system. So she works with a lot of kids with different varying degrees of challenges. And she implicitly knows that she brings her magic to these kids every single day. But what she was speaking and what she was feeling were 2 totally different things. So to see that magic of her just being in that moment and, thinking back to being in front of a child and that interaction and that playfulness and all the things that she brings. And as she closed her eyes and started recanting all that she brought to the table with this child, lo and behold, there was the affirmation. And lo and behold, there she sat with her feet firmly planted on the ground, knowing without a doubt that this was her magic. And I think that's the beauty of this world and this life, is that we all have an opportunity to speak our magic and bring our gifts forward. And there can never be too much, because of our circumstances, because of our experiences, because of where we are at the moment. I might hear the same thing from 5 different people, and I might need to hear the same thing from 5 different people, but everybody is going to have their own unique essence and their way of being and their way of speaking, and I'm going to hear it when I really need it, in a way that I need it. And to be a witness to that, and I thank you all for your conversation, because you've given me truth bumps a number of times with everything that everybody has shared. So thank you. Thank you for all the magic that you bring here to this place and space.
Mary Jane, did you want to go?
I was just going to say thank you, Darlene, for the beautiful sharing that beautiful story. It's true, sometimes we're walking the walk, but we may not always be feeling 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 it. And I know some people say, fake it till you make it and whatever. But I'm thinking this space here, we look at it where we take time and space to reconnect with the magic. I feel most connected to magic when I'm in the process or in the state of creating, and that could be anything from crafts to the graphics I create for my clients. But when I'm most connected is when I'm painting. My focus is there. There's nothing from the outside world that's really um, getting to me. And it gives me time to just be with myself and reconnecting to that magic. And there's no other expectation other than to be in that moment. So I really love that. The magic often comes when we're take time to be in the moment, for sure. At least for me, it does.
Absolutely, Mary Jane. And you bring up, and I think there's two ways. I mean, you bring up a beautiful way of like connecting to that creative side, of carving out that space and time to find that connection, which basically feeds you and, nourishes you. And so you have that ability to then connect with that magic because you've gotten to a space. But I think there are moments in our day, every day, where we can tap into that and look at the view, look at the world through that lens. Because there are days when we can't, we don't have the time, practically speaking, to be able to connect into that aspect. Yes, we couldn't, but we can look at the world in that eye. And I always say it's looking at the world through the artist's eye. It's like seeing yourself as the photographer. And when you look at the world, you look at the world like that. You see beyond the surface of something. And I think that both are valuable. We need to have moments during our day where we're doing everyday things, we're going about our lives, where we, have the ability to look at life in that lens. And yet we also have those opportunities where we maybe intentionally and consciously create space in our schedule for those things, just those things that tend to nourish us. And it doesn't have to be, it could be something silly that, somebody else might consider it silly, but that doesn't matter because you find it nourishes you. Divine?
Yes, I absolutely love this, guys. We need to do this part two. I know I've said this plenty of times you had these, okay? But I love the question that Mary Jan had put in the chat about how we can connect with our magic every day. And one of the things that I love to do is connecting to the heart space as well, right? Being intentional about touching my heart and allowing my heart to speak through me. There's four chambers of the heart, right? There's upper chambers and there's lower chambers. And that right there is like as above, so below, right? The heart is a bigger portal than the brain. There's so many scientific proof to this, but what I want to say also is that connecting to the elements, right? There's four chambers of the heart, there's four elements, but I like to say there's five elements because we cannot forget what we are, which is magic, which is connected to source, right? So connecting to our breath is very important, connecting to source, creating a sacred relationship with God, with source, whoever you call upon, okay? And connecting with the elements, connecting with earth. How do you ground and connect with earth every day? How do you ground? I mean, how do you connect with element of air? How do you connect with the element of water? How do you connect with the element of fire? Maybe just like lighting candles, taking a bath, Whatever that is also connected to your magic. So yes, I'll end it there, love.
Thank you, Divine. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a good question. How do you connect every day um, to those elements? And I think we all do a lot of those things. You know, we spending out time outside, we're actually in those elements, sort of immersed in those elements for periods of small, even small doses during your day, or we actually, you expose yourself to those elements and you are present for them. It's different when I go out and I decide I'm going to work outside. So I take my laptop outside and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit outside and I'm going to work. Different experience than if I just go outside and sit and I'm present with it. It's like when I walk and I no longer listen to or I carry technology with me for safety purposes. Um, my phone is not out. My phone's in my pocket or in the bag. It's not out. And I'm present for it versus, because then it's like, then you're connecting with it and there's a real, like, it's a part of you and you're a part of it versus just being in it. And it's kind of like you could be anywhere, basically. So being able to experience those, I love that, those five elements, including yourself. And so that's being aware of you and your body and what you are in this space, but then also being present for all the stuff that's, you know, that you're a part of and that is a part of you.
Such beautiful perspectives and um, insights today. Really am enjoying, pardon the pun, the magic of the conversation, but it really is magic, um, because everybody brings their own special magic to an energy to this space. And so I know I definitely appreciate that. And I know Jan does as well. It's such a beautiful and inspiring space.
Absolutely. Maybe I'll just share this poem that I was going to share earlier, just because it kind of brings up to me this experience of recognizing, the miracle or seeing beyond the surface. It's one of my, it's a favorite poem. It's called From Blossoms by Lee Young Lee. From blossoms comes this brown paper bag of peaches we bought from the boy at the bend in the road where we turned toward signs painted peaches. From laden bows, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins comes nectar at the roadside. Succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all. Comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into it, the round jubilance of a peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to blossom, impossible blossom, so sweet, impossible blossom.
That's so beautiful, Jan. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. So, we ready to move into the meditation, Mary Jane, or do we, anybody else have anything they'd like to share before we do that?
I just, as I sometimes do whenever I'm called to do so, I did pull a card for our group today based on our energy here for the Raise Your Vibration Oracle. If it's okay, I'd like to quickly share it.
Of course.
So it's interesting because this word has come up a number of times in the conversation today. I know we talked about magic, but we also talked about miracles because I feel those are connected anyway. And so the card that I pulled, of course, is I make way for miracles. And it reads, miracles are real. They come in many sizes and many forms. When they aren't unfolding in our life, something has gone wrong. Miracles are our birthright, your birthright, because you, my dear, are a miracle. Miracles attract miracles. And when this card comes to you, the universe is reminding you that no matter what miracle you need, it is available to you. It is within your grasp. But do you believe that? Are you making that miracle too big for you to achieve? Are you wondering how it could ever possibly unfold? Know that it's not your job to understand miracles, but to ready yourself for them. Instead of wondering how yours will manifest, begin to create space for it. See yourself enjoying it. Tune into the feelings you would have if it were already in your life, and know that it is. And the vibe of the day, I stop sizing up my miracles and trust that every miracle is possible.
Thank you, Mary Jane. That's beautiful. I love that last line. So we're just going to move into a minute of meditation or quiet. So begin by finding a comfortable position. Feel free to sit, lie down. Allow your body to settle. Feel the contact between you and the surface beneath you. Feel it hold you. Bring your awareness to your breath. No need to change it. Simply notice it. A gentle rhythm of inhale and exhale. A quiet miracle always with you. Now bring your attention to the center of your chest, to your heart, and rest your awareness here as if you're listening, not with your ears, but with your inner knowing. With each breath, begin to sense a quiet pulse within you, not just the beat of your heart, but something softer, something older, a feeling, a presence, a knowing. This is your inner magic. It may not sparkle, it may not shout, but it is wise and deep and is always present. You were born with this magic. The same elements that shape oceans and stars live in your bones and your breath. You are not separate from the magic of the universe. You are a part of it. You are it. Breathe into that truth. Let it settle into your heart, into your belly, into your being. As you rest here, allow an image, a color, a word, a sensation to arise. Something that symbolizes your magic. There's no right or wrong. Simply trust what shows up. And now gently bring to mind one way you've expressed your magic. Maybe recently, maybe long ago. A time you showed up with love, creativity, courage, insight, and care. Let yourself feel the warmth of that memory. You are enough. You are made of wisdom, stardust, intuition, and wonder. And all of it lives within you, waiting, ready, and whole. Begin to bring your awareness back to your body, back to your space. Feel the surface beneath you once again. Notice the sounds around you. Feel free to move, wiggle fingers and toes. And when you're ready, feel free to gently open your eyes, knowing that you carry this magic with you always.
That was beautiful, Jan. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you, everyone. And thank you all for joining us today. Um, as I always say, please connect with us. We would love to speak with you, um, you know, beyond this space, if you feel called to. We'd love to do that. We happen to be doing our next workshop is June 28th at 2 p.m. We're having a summer solstice special price that ends tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. If you'd like to take advantage of that. And also tomorrow morning, Saturday, June 21st, at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Mary Jane and I are doing a presentation for the Healthy Neighborhoods Project. We're going to pop the link in the chat. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's called Illuminating Kindness. And we would love to see you there. It's just a conversation kind of like this. And we'll do some interesting practices, should be fun, and a great group of people. So we'd love to have you. So tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. if you feel like joining us. Have a great weekend and a great week ahead.
Many blessings, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend, and thank you for joining us, as always, and sharing your beautiful inspiration.
Absolutely. Have a great one, everybody.